So just to clarify, God the Father, that's a guy, right? That's a man.
There is no gender to God. What are you talking about? Jesus?
Wait, if
Do
there's
you know
no
what
no gender to God, so God's non-binary.
what are you talking about?
If there's no gender to God, then God is non-binary. Is God perfect?
Yes, he's all knowing.
So being non-binary is perfection. Okay, so if you deviate from being non-binary, such as if you fit in a binary gender category such as man and woman, you are imperfect by nature. So in other words, non-binary supremacy, am I right?
Oh, Dean. It's a common retort from the left to refer to God as non-binary, usually to show an inconsistency in the Christian worldview. But unfortunately, Dean's argument relies on weak philosophy and fallacious reasoning, so let's make some corrections. To start, Dean attempts to trap this guest by asking if God the Father is a male since we use he/him pronouns. Parker pulled a similar move in his debate with Charlie Kirk on transgenderism.
Okay, but does God the Father have XY chromosomes prior to incarnation?
We literally have a religious
he's
topic
he's a
later.
father and he's he/him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait, so
topic
a man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't have XY chromosomes, yet he's still a man and he still uses preferred pronouns?
What this argument fails to understand is that the use of father and he/him pronouns isn't reflecting biology. It's revealed relational language as seen throughout the Bible. Now, of course, the natural objection to this is, doesn't that mean some fathers aren't men? But we have to remember who we're applying these categories to. For humans, father is a real parent category, biological or adoptive. But for God, father is a means of relationship because he cannot be father in the same sense as humans. There's no creaturely sex or reproduction because God is spirit. Although I'm not Catholic, I think paragraph 239 of the Catechism says it well. By calling God Father, the language of faith indicates two main things: that God is the first origin of everything and transcendent authority, and that he is at the same time goodness and loving care for all his children. We ought therefore to recall that God transcends the human distinction between the sexes. He is neither man nor woman. He is God. The caller then correctly says there is no gender to God, which Dean says requires that God is non-binary, but this commits the biggest fallacy of the video: category error. A category error is when you assign an attribute to something that it cannot logically possess, like saying the number 5 is blue. Non-binary is a gender identity, how a person identifies relative to human gender categories, which doesn't apply to God since he is spirit. So when Christians say God has no gender, we don't mean God has a different gender, we mean gender isn't a category that applies to God at all. The irony is that Dean is mocking Christians for misapplying gender categories to God, but that's exactly what he's doing to make his point. Dean's last main point is that if God is perfect and non-binary, then being non-binary is perfect and male-female is imperfect, but this just doesn't follow. Even if you granted that God is non-binary, it still doesn't mean that whatever is true of God is automatically perfection for all humans. This is because perfection is teleological. It fits its intended nature and purpose. Bible scholar Bill Mounts lays out how this works with the Greek word often translated perfect in the New Testament, teleos, meaning complete, mature, reaching the intended goal. In other words, saying non-binary is perfection just because God supposedly is like saying my knife is imperfect because it can't hammer. Or as Thomas Aquinas put it, a thing is said to be perfect insofar as it attains its proper end. And also, why doesn't Dean just use God's preferred pronouns? Doesn't that make him the real transphobe? I'll let you decide. Thank you for watching.